Good afternoon. How are you? Well, it's a nice Saturday. The temperature's in the low 80s. I don't know if there's much of a wind, but it's pretty pleasant. And it's in the golden hour, so it's later in the evening. The golden light, I've been informed. This is the time to have that Tuscany feeling, the light shining down upon us. Let me make a couple of things clear about my politics. I'm a genetic Democrat, and I'm for Biden, and the one job that I wanted him to do, which was to replace Trump, he's done, and he has to do it one more time. That said, I have every right to criticize every single policy he has. And one of my points of disagreement is his environmental policy that has two identities. On the light side, we make inclinations toward green, but on the dark side, we do something like open up the land in Alaska. And I'm very concerned that we've opened up the Brooks Range and for the purpose of mining copper. And there is a lot of protests going on, and Biden is, this is how we should go forward. And he's wrong. He's absolutely wrong. And I think back to a time when I was a law student, and it was the summer of 71, I think. And I was helping, one of the finest law professors, persons, or friends I ever had, Harvey Goldschmidt. When I say I was helping, I was assigned to him. He hired me, and I went down to D.C., and we worked on administrative matters. And one of them was with the Environmental Protection Act, by its impact statements, favorably affect the fight over the Alaska pipeline. And among the arguments at the time were they were concerned about how it would compromise permafrost and how that in turn could compromise the pipeline. And I haven't paid any attention to it until this situation involving the Brooks Range, in which Biden would allow a road to be built through the place so then they could mine the copper in it. I mean, this is a sin against the environment, nature, and everything else. You know, the gorgeous, unvarnished, natural rivers, streams, tundra, caribou, all of it is at risk. And some may say, oh, what's the big deal? The big deal in every one of these environmental questions is to go back to Jefferson and his notion about environmental matters. And his reasoning was that we have this fruit of the environment that we receive, and we get to use it, but we must leave it as we found it. In other words, maintain and reestablish it and so forth. But you see, if the only thing you want is a quick dab profit, you don't care about these things. They're going to live, 50 or 100 years, and they'll be gone. And that's it. That's their whole equation. I'm here, I take what I want, I die, and that's it. And the term of art that Jefferson used was usufructus. So use the fruit, fructus. And this is a legal theory, and friends of mine, the Wines and others who care about the environment, we've talked about this over time, a legal reasoning. But that reasoning isn't applied. And this is the question about what are law and rules and constitutions all about. You establish a standard by which you measure conduct. And when you've done that, then something that violates that measure, that is as enlightened as humans can ever be, in hardly anything like a laboratory setting, then when somebody breaks it, you try to correct it. You punish them. You do these things. And that's because we're not angels, as John Adams once said. If we were, we wouldn't need any laws or rules. And so we've had the Supreme Court compromise the EPA, and we have our president, who's the environmental president, as compared to Trump, I suppose, who is prepared to compromise it as well. And politics is a dirty business in the sense that the means for everybody involved, the means can be anything in the world, because the word is that the ends justify the means. Me getting elected, that's more important than anything else. I may not be able to tell the truth about it, but I have to do it. So I'm very upset about this idea. And you might say, how much copper is there to be had? $7.5 billion worth. It's a shame. And then today sometime, I looked up the Alaska pipeline to see what was going on. Well, of course it exists. And here's the irony. As there's a warming in Alaska, in the Arctic Circle, the pipeline is leaning into the permafrost, and this is an oil pipeline, okay? So if that gives, you're going to have oil all over. And another good example of planning ahead. Planning ahead for industry is doing whatever the hell you want to make money and spending as little as possible on the safety of your men, women, and machinery, and almost nothing on the side effects of the mining as you do it. You don't have to restore what you've done, what you've damaged, to anything else. Okay, so that's that. I've been writing most of the day, and I had on in the background C-SPAN because for some reason I kept thinking it was Sunday, and I would hear on C-SPAN the talking head shows one after another without doing anything. They come on at noon and they go on the whole rest of the day. So because I was distracted by what I was actually writing and not paying that much attention, there was a hearing going on involving Hunter Biden. And several Democrats said, you do realize he's not the president and that you've made no connection between Hunter and the president, yet you're attacking this man, and the evidence is somewhat ambiguous and not even proven. And among the other things they apparently are relying on is the computer that was in the custody of Rudy Giuliani at one point, presented to some prosecutor's office. And doesn't it feel like it was a plant to do in Hunter Biden and anybody else who was connected to it? So we had that. The question of the day, as I get it, is what are we going to do if Trump has gotten his party's nomination? Are we going to try him? Absolutely. Absolutely. Hell yeah. Or whatever other word you'd like to put in there. He decided to run. Well, he also decided to commit a crime. Well, he didn't want an early trial to get it behind him. Well, he wanted it after the election. Well, okay, eat it. Eat it. You deserve it. Try you at the same time. The Democrats should consider it a present. A present. This guy, in any other election, he's being indicted for a crime, and that's not helpful to Biden. I mean, stop the music. That's amazing. Let's see, what else is going on? There's the president of A&M, Texas A&M. He was fired because he hired a journalist whom the powers that be disapproved, because she had a history of, how would I put it, letting everybody let the flowers grow, of letting everybody into the university, making it a university. It's an interesting idea. And so because the journalist seemed soft on discrimination, they didn't want her to be in the university, and the president who arranged it, his head rolled. Texas, what a place. When you think of the university as a place for freedom of expression, forget it. Not in Texas. The best story, I think, for the day to have fun with, and I apologize because I wasn't able to find YouTube or something. But here it goes. It goes like this. There is a transgen woman who is very popular and who lip syncs. And she's been lip syncing Taylor Swift. And they're calling her Taylor Shees. And apparently she's very good at it and very amusing. And she does it in, I don't know, they were saying in drag, but I don't know if she was drag or trans woman. But so she's doing this, and everybody's up in arms, except for the people who think it's funny as hell and get a big kick out of it. And it's especially popular in the Philippines. Now, I have been doing my research on the Philippines of late by watching Almost Paradise. If you haven't seen this series, it's kind of a funny series about starts with a former DEA agent who retires to this retreat in the Philippines and opens up a shop on the shore, and he has problems because of the pressure he's been through. A lot of aspects. So it's kind of a cop procedural with comedy and some great acting, terrific fighting too. They're all martial artists, and the two males in particular engage in some pretty great fighting. Forgive me for dwelling on that, but because I'm now familiar with the Philippines in a way different than I was when I was younger, I'm enticed by stories of this woman in the Philippines lip syncing Taylor Swift. So if I catch the link or something, I'll put it up. But that's a homework assignment. It sounds like it would be fun to find it because it's supposed to be pretty good. Where do we stand? You know, there have been these books of late which people are talking about, the problems of manhood. How are you a man? And I think it's about the same as the problems of womanhood. We stagger through life, and we plan through life, and we learn through life, and we do things, and that's it. And a man is in some compaction of various things that other people tell him or her they should be. Some women are beautiful and models, and they're out there, and some men are muscular, and some like sports, some don't, some read books. Come on, do you want everybody to be the same? Or is man a thought of conduct? In other words, do I have any standards by which I measure that this annoys me or I'm pleased by this? Yeah, okay, that's a good starting point. Man or woman? Do I have courage to fight for these things? Or is everything worth fighting about? Shouldn't I contribute something? So this notion of a man, well, you don't have to go down to rapids, but you might jump in front of a car to save someone who's not paying attention and save them and yourself. It's not so complicated, but people suck on their thumbs trying to understand things. And the same thing is true with the whole Trump mess. There's pretty simple answers for a lot of these things. Don't defend against what people are going to think. Do the right thing, and then educate everybody. And they come along or they don't. You're right or you're wrong. And so, what about Trump? Well, he's getting the hit parade of being a one-man crime wave. And so, that's usually not good for the person who's the one-man crime wave. But this is all upside down. Because people, what are we going to do? He has a trial. Well, he has the trial. He shows up at the trial. He's tried. He's a citizen running for the presidency. He's not the president, even if he was. I think you can prosecute a president. But that's not an issue here. So, let's get straight what it means to be right, to act right, to fight for what's right, even if it's kind of passive in the sense of you say, oh, that's wrong, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to vote for that, I'm going to give money to so-and-so. And I think the simplest thing of the talking head shows right now is stop wondering about it. I don't care whether he's nominated or not for the purposes of when his trial begins. His trial begins as soon as possible, and if he's fought to delay it, he's the one who eats it, not us. So, anyhow, that's my thinking today. I think I got too much rest last night. So, I hope to see you on Sunday on my trail through the Cathedral of Trees, which are especially green and pleasant this evening because it's cooler than it usually is. All the best. Bye.